finishes in the Bundesliga, DFB Pokal, and most heartbreakingly of all, the Champions League. 12 months on and all that heartache is gone. Now they are the best of the best on top of the world, after winning all 3 titles last season, and 4 if you include the Super Cup. Bayern Munich have been basking in the sunshine of their historic treble. And after the retirement of their great coach Jupp Heynckes, Bayern have brought in another to keep the ball rolling. Barcelona legend Pep Guardiola is the new face of Bayern. Journalists, fans and players alike eager to find out just what he'll bring to the Bavarian Giants and the Bundesliga in general. In order not to miss a thing, we followed the every step of his arrival in Munich and to a week spent in and around the Riva del Garda Trentino. Monday, 24th of June. As Guardiola appeared for his first press conference, it seemed an age since the start of the year when it was first announced that the Spaniard would take over from Heynckes at the start of this season.
Well, for me, this is an absolute gift being here. I want to thank Bayern for this great opportunity to be their new coach.
While it was impressive to hear him speaking German, it was the move from Heynckes to Guardiola that the club announced in January that caught much more attention. After all, what can the Bavarians still achieve after the last year under Heynckes?
Oben zu sein ist das eine,
being at the top is certainly one thing, staying at the top is another.
Die ein Trainer
the biggest challenge a coach can face after this amazing season. I believe Pep
Guardiola genau der richtige Mann,
is just the right person to accept this challenge.
Nach einem gigantischen Jahr mit diesem
Together with the club
Verein,
and
mit
the
den
fans,
Fans,
I'm
mit
also
unserem
convinced
zusammen
that
anzunehmen, und ich
if
bin
it wasn't him,
überzeugt, dass
who would be up for it?
wenn nicht er,
It really is a
wer
massive,
sonst
massive
könnte
challenge.
diese Herausforderung bestens bestehen.
Well, certainly Pep is up for the task, but during his first encounter with the press at the Allianz Arena, he played down potential changes that everyone wanted to hear about, confining his approach to the following.
I love to attack, and that's my playing philosophy.
With this in mind, all eyes were on Guardiola when he stepped out onto the field in the Allianz Arena for his first practice session with the squad later that week. While Bayern usually train at the Sebener Strasse, these first 2 sessions with Guardiola were held in the arena itself. One to accommodate 200+ media representatives, and 2 for the fans. And all that for a good cause, because the fans paid €5 each to raise support for people affected by the flood that hit Germany that month. All that aside, the focus was still on Pep and practice.
It was impressive with all the fans there, and I had a lot of fun. The coach is very friendly, he talks a lot. I think for all of us it's a very comfortable situation. He's so open in approaching us.
Like Guardiola, Jan Kirchhoff is another newcomer to Bayern this season. Clearly the man from Mainz has yet to get used to a lot of new things in Munich that are bigger, greater and seem more exciting. His teammate Toni Kroos, back from an injury, prevented him from finishing last season.
I think he really is a truly spectacular coach. We can be proud to have him here. I think it's important that we have a great coach after what Jupp Heynckes did here. Well, this problem is solved because now we have Pep. And we need to get used to each other fast.
A good 10,000 fans were present to witness this first encounter with Guardiola. But if they were waiting for a start with a bang, they didn't get that until a week later. Before it was off to Italy, a much anticipated presentation of another new player took place there. At the time, Bayern had completed 2 signings, but it was the arrival of the rising teenage starlet Mario Götze from their biggest rival Dortmund that caught most attention.
Ich weiß nicht, was der Trainer geplant hat oder
I don't know what the coach has in mind or who's going to play in which position. We'll see. But I think all of us on the team have goals. We have a great coach. We have unity.
Und dass dann wahrscheinlich Vergleiche fallen zu Barcelona und zur damaligen Zeit ist natürlich normal, ist klar. Ich glaube, da ist jeder Spieler gewappnet und ich dementsprechend auch.
Wir als Club freuen uns sehr.
The club is delighted to welcome one of the best players in the world.
Oder einer der herausragenden Spieler auf dieser Welt bei uns begrüßen zu können. Das soll kein Druck sein, sondern es ist eine
Mario Götze has decided
Geschichte, dass Mario Götze sich für uns entschieden hat.
Unfortunately for the club, Guardiola and fans alike, they'll have to be patient though, because Götze is still nursing a nagging thigh injury picked up in the back end of last season. As for the rest of the squad, it's off to Italy for summer training. Goetze, together with Bayern's other injured players, Bastian Schweinsteiger and Holger Badstuber, joined the whole squad, including several youth players, as well as playing players from the second team, to spend a week in Trentino. An impressive entrance, but Guardiola knew exactly what he came to Italy for.
The main reason why we're here is to get to know one another. I have a lot of ideas which I have to convince my players of, to coach them. For me, soccer is about the whole team. I can't say I'll be working more on the attack or on the defence, all together really. When we're working on ideas for our attack, at the same time we're working on the defence just as much. Both are just as important as one another. We have to get to know one another with the ball, different philosophies and understanding. That's what we're going to try and do. I'll try and implicate my ideas.
Those ideas had their first outing in a game against a Polona Dream 11, a fan event where the spotlight was on Claudio Pizarro after Bavarian forward extended his contract for another year.
I really like Claudio Pizarro. He's an amazing player. I've watched and followed his development a lot. Not really just last season, but for years. I think he's great. Of course, he knows the Bundesliga amazingly well. Speaks great Spanish as well, so for me, it's that's a big plus. So he's also really important as a translator. There's no other club like Bayern, as far as I'm concerned. I think we're in a position to win many competitions. That's why I decided to prolong my contract. There's no greater place.
With that out of the way then, and despite the prospective transfer of another Bayern frontman, Mario Götze, dragging on, the attention was once again on the new coach. In the next couple of days, we saw all kinds of facets of his character. Here's an attempt to understand and get to know him with the help of the Bayern players.
Angenehmer Trainer, auch mit dem man über alles sprechen kann und der eine angenehme Sprache auch mit den Spielern hat. Und dass man sich dann unterhält über bestimmte Themen oder über den Fußball allgemein, ist, glaube ich, ganz normal.
At times it seems odd to equate some of his behaviour and especially his gestures with the words of Bayern's captain. Guardiola hardly seemed content in training, and he is not one to hide his feelings or temper.
Natürlich versucht immer zu sagen, was he keeps telling us what he wants to do on the pitch. That's why he interrupts practice to explain his ideas thoroughly.
Ich glaube, will, dass wir ihn verstehen,
I think he just wants us to understand him,
was uns vorgibt und
so we can carry out what he wants us to do.
Ist, glaube ich,
sehr klar in seiner Einheit in practice, and I think he's very meticulous in his preparation.
Being meticulous and precise were also traits that characterised former coach Heinkes, and yet there's a big difference in the two men's approaches. While the German used to wait for an exercise to finish before explaining what went wrong, the Spaniard is more preemptive.
It's perfectly normal for a coach to interrupt practice or get mad when somebody's doing an exercise incorrectly, says Xherdan Shaqiri. We're at the very beginning, and when things don't come together right away, he gets mad. There's nothing wrong with that. We have to learn what he wants us to do as soon as possible. We don't have a lot of time to do that. Start of the season, we have to be ready. We have to be ready to do what the coach wants of us.
And of course there is also the language barrier, which has caused many foreigners to fail before Guardiola. It'll always be there no matter how hard he works, and his efforts might not always be appreciated.
For me, as a Latino, a South American, used to having a lot of contact with people. But what's important is that there's respect. He's the coach and we are the players. So there needs to be a distance. The understanding is equally as important. It's true that we can feel his warmth. And yes, he does talk to a lot about players, about tactics, about other things. So I have to say that I really like that about him.
Guardiola may be different from his predecessor Heinkes, but different doesn't necessarily mean worse. And it seems Europe's finest group of players are coming to terms with the Catalonians' methods.